Canada takes home the win at the Four Nations. After all the controversy, after all the hoopla, we had to celebrate and poke some fun at our American neighbors. So we have a few new pieces in the store, celebrating some Canadian pride, sending a couple jabs to our neighbors, and ripping on some legends. If you want to celebrate this win as well, check out our web store at sticktalkhockey.square.site to buy some Canadian pride. Let's get into the episode.
TD Garden. You mean Bennington Garden, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk. Watch you fly. Free bird. Yeah.
Eat it, bozo.
Welcome back, everyone. This is a commemorative episode 97 part 2. It is such a crying shame that we did episode 97 last week.
I know.
Because this week deserves to be episode 97. It's an episode, it's 97 part 2, 0.5, whatever you want to call it.
97 Gold Edition.
Gold Edition. As always, I'm your host, Tico. This is my co-host.
I'm yours truly.
No producer Jay today, which is such a tragedy because I wish he was here for this. But
I so badly want to hear what Jay has to say.
well, we'll get all that when he's back.
I can't wait.
But look, Canada wins.
Did more than just win.
Canada wins. America loses. It's a beautiful day for this nation.
A nation that so badly needed a win.
So badly.
Like, let's be real here. I know that, like, it might be lost on a couple of Americans out there who have not been as keen to the news. But we didn't find that 51st state funny.
Well, and I mean, I gotta, like, try to have some perspective here because I really, really don't think that most Americans, it's not shown in their news the way it is to us.
Exactly.
Like, I really think there's some ignorance to what's been going on and how it's been taken.
And I think they don't even, because I heard earlier today that it was believed a lot of them didn't even understand the booing of the anthem.
Yeah.
To a degree, which I believe wholeheartedly too, because
Absolutely.
Their news, like, we don't see their news either half the time. Like,
yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, the 51st state stuff, and it was one thing when it was just a little bit of political charge in this, right? When it started with the anthem booing, right? Like, they were booing the anthem before this tournament, right? They were in the NHL games, they were booing it when American teams were in town because of all of this. It became a bigger beast when the Kachucks when Brady got a little bit butthurt about it.
Yeah, and he's also just a huge Trump thumper.
And then, the American team asks Trump to come to the game.
Yeah.
And then he calls the team, and then JT Miller, glazing him afterwards. Like, regardless of the thoughts around Donald Trump, like, it's not like our stance on Donald Trump hasn't been abundantly clear.
Yeah, I think if you follow us on socials or if you've tuned into the pod anytime,
you follow the breadcrumbs a little bit here.
Yeah, it's pretty evident.
Regardless, just as a Canadian citizen, like, here's a guy that has been publicly trying to humiliate us over the last couple of weeks, right?
Yep.
And whether or not you think he's joking, it's a negotiation tactic or whatever, it's been public humiliation, literal bullying, and I'm just so happy to see him catch an L.
Yeah, you know what? I was fine with it being a little playful back and forth at first. Even the 51st state thing didn't really bother me at first.
No.
Until you won the round robin.
No.
And you started spouting off about how you can't wait to have maple syrup as your main export.
Yeah.
And you can't wait to have Governor Trudeau in your White House and ba-da-da-da-da, and painting our parliaments white. You.
I don't know. I was just having a conversation at the bar today, and to someone that I know is fairly like not as involved as we are, right?
Yeah.
And it was about the 51st state stuff, and specifically about Donald Trump's talk to the team, to the Americans. And he was like, you got to admit the first 51st state thing's pretty funny. And I was like, but like, we're in a bar right now, right? You know when that guy says a joke and everyone laughs, and then he won't give up that joke over and over again? And it's like, okay, yeah, no, it was pretty funny the first time, but now it's just kind of disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
100%.
Yeah.
And to have Miller like jump into the media like the day before the game and be like that, or like hours before the game even, wasn't it? Yeah, and he's like, that 51st state speech really got us fired up. Dog, you lived and played in Canada. Half your teammates are Canadian.
Yeah.
And you're going to endorse a man who's literally talking about annexing Canada. It's not a playful, oh, we're going to make them our... They're talking about taking our shit over, dog. And you're going to act like that's corkboard material?
Yeah. Yeah.
Read the goddamn room. Have some taste.
That's the thing, right? Like, we all know, like, it's no secret that it's a lot of rich white dudes in the NHL. There's a lot of Trump supporters. There's no secret there, right? But to the keep politics out of sports crowd, now y'all the ones bringing it into the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, the same people that, oh, I don't like the booing of the anthem, we should keep the politics out of the sports. You invited the president, who was the biggest cause of the issue in the first place, and then you glaze the shit out of him like 5 hours before the game.
Yeah.
You deserve everything you got.
Yep.
It quenched my thirst to just suckle on those American tears, baby. And I just love hearing the flipping of the pages as you paw for a valid goddamn excuse. Oh, it's not a real tournament. It was real when you won the round robin, wasn't it? Oh, look at them lifting that trophy like it means something. Like you wouldn't. Like you haven't been dying to actually mean something in hockey since 96.
96.
Y'all haven't won a gold medal since I was born, and I'm so proud of it. Yeah. And I'm going to bathe in that information every night for a year straight until we hand you your ass again.
Well, okay, so out the gate, I do want to say, I said before the game last night, the winner of tonight will lose the Olympic gold.
Probably, because Hockey Canada is very stubborn, and they're going to bring back the whole team.
I just think there's going to be that revenge factor that came that came last night, right? Out of the round robin game, that revenge factor. And that now goes for the Americans in Milan.
I don't know. I feel pretty good about the Canadian team as long as they like shed some of the weight. And I mean, we can talk about this more with Jonesy because I'm sure he'll have like some strong takes on how certain players
Jonesy,
appeared. But
Jay in here.
Sanheim disappointed the shit out of me.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he was invisible for most of the time.
He was, but in a defenseman, I don't hate that.
But when he made a stretch pass, it usually turned into a turnover. It was the ill-advised pass. He should have gone to his partner or gone to the half wall, and he just tried to force the shit through neutral.
I thought Sanheim played well. In a game as high stakes and as high pressure as that, I thought I didn't see any glaring mistakes from him.
Yeah, that's fair. In the gold medal game, he was very tight. He was He was very solid. Yo. But like overall, I just don't think that's the caliber of defenseman you need. Like he looked exploitable. Did he get exploited? No, but he looked like he was swimming for his life at certain points. Like
Mackenzie Weegar should be there.
Exactly.
We talked about that ad nauseum last week.
And I stand by it.
I mean, overall though, it's really hard to like hate on some of the decisions that ended up being made as this tournament went on. Like Thomas Harley was unbelievable.
He was phenomenal. I take back all my Drew Doughty takes. That guy saved Canada's bacon.
We talked about last week how Drew Doughty came into 2010 as a seventh defenseman and ended up getting stapled to a top four minutes. And Thomas Harley now has a very similar story with Drew Doughty.
Yeah, I mean, some of the parallels are actually pretty eerie.
Not even on the radar to be on Team Canada. Uh, we all know Thomas Harley's good, obviously, right? Like,
Oh yeah, he's a very promising young dude.
I don't think anyone dislikes Thomas Harley, but he was not on anyone's like, where is Thomas Harley list, you know?
It wasn't one of the names I was upset about. I
No.
can tell you that much, to be polite.
And even Sam Bennett.
I
Sam Bennett, hello? Like, this guy,
I roasted the out of Canada for picking Sam Bennett. I hit the group chat as soon as he scored that goal. I was like, I'll never say anything mean about Sam Bennett again.
yeah, and he was a demon that whole game. That line was one of their most effective through regulation. He didn't play the first game against Sweden.
No.
And now he's a lock for Milan. You're not taking Sam Bennett.
And I think that's the type of toughness you need because
It
he
is.
doesn't have to fight to be able to be a force either, you know?
No, but he will.
Some big guys, that's all they have is
Yeah.
fighting. But
Sure.
but he brings like a whole package.
Absolutely.
Do you think
Yeah.
Tom Wilson makes an appearance now?
It's possible.
I think he's too slow. I don't buy it. I just don't think he's like going to be able to keep up with that pace because that game
Nor
was
do I.
the fastest game I've ever watched.
Yeah. And so this that actually brings me to another point. On Tom Wilson, I fully agree with that. I do think he's too slow.
I've just heard lots of skepticism around him appearing now, and it's like, double IHF event, no fighting, quick game,
Hockey Canada. They love
international
those
ice,
guys.
like, you know.
But so that this is the point I want to get to. I think this matters more to me than the Olympics. How did we get here? But you know what? The Olympics kinda suck sometimes.
They do, and like the perfect parallel is 2010 to 2014 because 2010 it felt like it was really real. It meant something, like a lot like this. There was like a tangible need for the win.
Yeah.
And I don't feel the tangible need for the win. We'll talk about it when we get there in a little bit.
Of course.
Maybe things will have changed. Maybe we will so desperately require to, absolutely mop the ice with y'all again.
Sure.
But until then,
I just think there's gonna be an air to this tournament that Milan will not have. First of all, because it's not in North America. There will be no Canadians and Americans booing anthems. There will be no charge like that. Second of all, there's no fighting allowed. Honestly, a huge dub for this style of tournament is that they allow fighting.
Yep, 100%. It's what got so many and we'll get to this later because I do really want to touch on the viewership.
Oh,
but
I
it's
got
what
it in
got
here.
so many Americans tuned in
Yeah.
for the gold medal.
Yes.
Like 3
And
fights in 9 seconds is crazy.
It's the rules as a whole, right? Not just the fighting. Look at the officiating. We like, I know it's been a long time since we've watched men's best on best hockey, but we've watched the World Juniors. We know how the double IHF gets reffed and how the Olympics get reffed. It's a lot of penalties all the time.
For a lot of things that you're like, you know?
The bigger ice slows the game down.
Mm-hmm.
The reffing slows the game down and turns it into a bit of a specialist show.
Mm-hmm.
There was one penalty last night, and it was the most, literally egregious. You could not call that trip penalty.
That was exactly what I said this morning, too.
Yeah.
It was like, you had to call that. I mean, it's like
That's a perfect
most
game.
textbook trip ever.
The refs fully let them play.
Yep. They didn't even give the... I saw so many people complaining about the hold on that kind of breakaway in overtime, and it's like,
Again, it's close. They could have called it. They could have called the too many men where nobody touched the puck. It was just a couple seconds. They could have called those things, but just when it's that type of stuff and it's back and forth and it's could have called it, don't.
Especially with what the game meant.
Exactly.
The refs
let them play.
Yeah, the refs knew not to make that game about anything else.
And like I said, when it was egregious, the only egregious penalty that entire game was that trip, and it got called.
Yeah, I mean, they let them go tit for tat. I saw it was Eichel and McDavid go cross-check for cross-check 3 times at the blue.
Yeah.
It's like,
McDavid ran into Binnington pretty good. Or not McDavid, Matthews ran into Binnington pretty good at one point.
Yeah, clipped
It was
him.
an accident. It could have been a call. No call. I don't mind that. I got no problem with it.
Yep. You know what? It was. I want to like define it as like hardcore international.
Yeah. And the nice thing too is like you didn't need to, right? It wasn't like, in the NHL playoffs sometimes when the refs put the whistles away, it can turn into a bloodbath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both these teams were all business last night though.
Oh, they wanted that win.
They wanted that win.
No one was trying to do anything egregious or stupid. And I mean, Trocheck was trying to make a good play, and otherwise would have if he didn't trip the guy.
Yeah. And I mean, even the Kachucks. I mean, obviously Matthew hurt, didn't play much. But Brady, he was still getting his licks in. Don't get me wrong, but definitely not the same level we saw against Canada a week ago.
No, certainly not. I was really impressed with like how physical the U.S. was.
Yeah,
like they brought it into every corner battle. I was kind of disappointed in Canada by the end with how little they were forcing their presence, especially in the third and going into overtime. They just weren't finishing anymore, and it's like you need to.
The Americans, especially on the forecheck, were winning a lot of battles.
Yeah. Oh, and like,
that was concerning me for sure.
Even if they lost the battle, they were, taking a piece of you with it. Like, yeah. It wasn't like, you were getting it out of the zone for free.
And I mean, that first goal was directly off that forecheck, right? Yeah. Matthews gets it, dumps the puck in, gets in there, wins the battle, tries a random wrap around, and Brady Kachuk's right there. It's, what else do you want? Those are the goals I was scared of.
Yeah, and I thought there was going to be a lot more garbage. It was pretty close. Like there was a lot of really close garbage goals in that game.
Absolutely.
And it's funny how when you have so much skill in a game, it just breaks down into garbage anyways.
Well, yeah, I mean the neutral zone was just non-existent the entire game, right? Yeah. Like there's just so many battles, no space for anyone.
The slot area.
Yeah.
The slot area. Sorry, Merrick. The slot was completely clogged. It's redundant. Thing. The whole slot is like
it is an area.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But the slot.
Yeah.
It was impossible to get anything through. Mm-hmm. And when you did, it was still getting picked off at the last second because the Americans were so locked in.
Yeah.
They knew what to watch for.
Absolutely.
Like, Miller saved the game like 2 or 3 times. And I hate you, but also good play.
LMAO. Yeah. It was really interesting to me because, like, when you have that much skill, that many skilled players, like, you got to generate more traffic in the front, I felt. Because that's the book on Hellebuck, too. Like, we know that. It's the shots from distance through traffic. And we saw it. That's how Nathan McKinnon got them on the board early. But there wasn't a lot of room.
No.
There just wasn't. And yeah, when you watch him best on best like that, I mean, that is where we'll get to another point later about the future of Team Canada.
Right.
But that's where, having a McDavid and a McKinnon really does kind of continuously break it for Canada, right? Connor McDavid.
Mick Jesus in the flesh, our Lord and Savior.
So let's talk about Connor McDavid, okay? Because, first of all, gets his Canadian heritage moment, right?
So well deserved.
Crosby had won a cup and gone to 2 straight finals going into 2010. He was already kind of in a little bit of a higher echelon, but there was all of the baby stuff, the crybaby stuff, all of that. And for Canadian hockey fans, the narrative around Sidney Crosby changed with that goal in 2010.
100,000%. He became a national treasure with that goal.
Yeah.
There was suddenly 0 Sidney Crosby haters in Canada.
Besides Joel.
And I mean,
No, I mean,
he finally came around too.
Absolutely, yeah.
He gets it now.
Yeah,
he gets it.
He do. And Connor McDavid had himself a bit of that moment last night.
100%. And it was a beautiful moment. I couldn't believe it was happening. You know that DiCaprio meme? The whoop.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like seeing McJesus all alone in the slot. I saw Matthews start to just get sucked in. I was like, pass that. Oh, baby.
It was perfection. It was perfection. I mean, it was a slick little move to get open there, of course, but what I'm very thankful about with the golden goal, what I will always remember is, to me, that is the end of the Quinn Hughes or Adam Fox conversation. Adam Fox was a bum the entire tournament. And on that play, the puck goes around to Marner, and he makes the dumbass decision to try and cut that pass off, knowing he's too late for it, ends up being too late for it, and makes Matthews have to go to Marner.
Yep.
And that leaves McDavid open in the slot.
Womp womp pow. Yeah, I was gonna get to that. I was gonna say I don't actually, as much as like we have seen a lot of bagging on Matthews for not being existent, he created a lot of chances, and it's not his fault that, and we'll also get to this, Binnington was amazing.
We'll get to Jordan Binnington.
Like,
you're absolutely right, because the point I want to make here too is Austin Matthews, if he didn't get robbed by Binnington on that shot, would be Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Austin Matthews, through the majority of that game, played better than Connor McDavid did.
He did 100%. He looked great. He was generating chances. When he didn't have an opportunity to create one himself, he made the perfect pass. Like, I can't really pick apart his game that much, and he made, like, yeah, he lost his assignment, but it was covering for someone else's
exactly
that goal, assignment.
That goal wasn't his fault.
No.
I've seen it repeatedly today. It wasn't his fault.
No, he knew right away as soon as Fox started cutting under. He was like, I'm going to have to go and deal with that.
Especially to Martin, like a guy, like, oh, damn, he's dangerous with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I got to go there.
I've seen it firsthand.
Exactly.
Like, I play with him.
Yeah.
I know he can make that pass.
Yeah. No, I don't blame him at all. And you know what? Like, Crosby had a similar tournament in 2010 in some regards where he didn't play very well through that tournament, but then it didn't matter because he got the goal. McDavid in the third, I don't know if y'all were watching the same McDavid I was. That guy couldn't take a pass in the third.
No, I think
he looked like he was crumbling.
I think it's the first time he's really like had to play like a physical, like hard fought best, because he's, as much as we, criticize Edmonton for being power play merchants, it works. And he's so quick, he just creates power plays. And he's so targeted.
I think he might have just been having flashbacks to this exact same game against Matthew Tkachuk less than a calendar year ago.
Could be.
Deep in the third, representing Canada at the time, the Oilers were Canada's team.
I think it's the first time that he's like consistently felt like he was on the train tracks. Yeah. No matter where he was or what pass he got. Like, you could see like the antsiness.
You could.
He felt like he was going to get rocked, because that's what the States did.
Yeah.
For 2.5 periods, right? Like they just drove them through every check. He got absolutely trucked by McAvoy 3 times.
He, like, for real, if that Matthews shot had gone in, or the Brady Tkachuk one in overtime, like, the narrative around Connor McDavid immediately becomes he is a loser.
Yep.
To lose that game and Game 7 less than a year ago, that's a reputation damager right there.
I mean, and you see it, like, it's actually kind of funny how many parallels there are between him and Matthews, because you see what's going around right now, where he's 0-7 in gold medal and, was it Game 7 games?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Brutal.
It's brutal. No, the parallels are crazy, because, like, I really think that Matthews had a good tournament. In all seriousness, he didn't score, but this is going to sound like an insane take, and I don't mean it as literally as it's going to sound, but, like, it reminds me of Crosby's 2010 tournament.
Yeah.
He didn't score the entire tournament until that golden goal, but he was very, very difficult to play against, even at the age he was. I mean, obviously Matthews is a little bit older, and Matthews' two-way game is the best it's ever looked to me right now.
That's not a stretch at all. I was gonna say, like, even though he didn't show up on the score sheet, he sure as hell showed up in the defensive zone.
Yeah, and I mean, he did, though. He gets the assist on the Kachuk goal, too.
That's true.
And made that play happen by coming up with that puck.
Yeah, you just can't, like, measure a center by their goal totals sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's such a Glazer take, especially for, like, having Nico Hischier on my team. Like, dude's got, like, 27 goals this season, and he's already shattered his scoring record or whatever. It's like, Well,
and that's what makes the Binnington thing so much more special, though, right? Is because he made that save on Austin Matthews, who is not Nico Hischier. Like, Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer of his generation.
Unbelievable shot, unbelievable awareness, and I can never say anything mean about Jordan Binnington again either. And it pains me to say it.
No, look, you know what? Same. Jordan Binnington will never have a hater in me again. It's over.
Yeah, it's over. I squashed the beef.
So Jordan Binnington, for the record, almost had a forever hater in me. Because this week, I did some dangerous things, okay?
Like what?
Okay, so the Sweden game changed how I feel about Jordan Binnington in a pretty significant way. You know, I really thought, okay, this is a guy who doesn't shy away under the bright lights. He was really great in that overtime against Sweden.
And as we expected, that's the Jordan Binnington trademark is show up in the moment.
And so this week, leading up to the game, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I really dug my stake into that. And every conversation that I had about Team Canada, because obviously the goaltending got brought up a ton. And every conversation I had, I kept saying, Jordan Binnington will not lose Canada that game.
Same. I firmly stood with you on that. I was like, there's no shot that this guy isn't. He's got steel in his veins.
Do I look nervous? Right? He walks into Boston as a rookie in Game 7 and wins the Stanley Cup. I get it. But
the familiarity of the building, the atmosphere, you know?
Yep. He knew what that was all about. But then you get into the game, and it was really confusing. Because lots of people said he looked really uncomfortable, and they didn't like how much he was playing the puck and things like that. I personally thought he looked like really comfortable to the point of maybe just overconfident.
I didn't have a problem with how he played the puck.
Nor did I.
I was very concerned when he lost his post.
That was the one. Yeah. When he lost his post on was that the second goal?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was what concerned me too.
And he did it a couple times throughout the game that he lost his post or lost his orientation in the crease just by getting a small bump or the rebound shooting the wrong way through a deflection in traffic and he was swimming in it. He had no idea.
I know, and that was what I really couldn't pin him for the first 2 periods of that game. I was like, I can't tell if he's fighting it or feeling it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was locked in or if he was just walking the line between blowing it and somehow staying there.
Yeah.
I was extremely concerned. I forget who it is that cleared the crease now. But when he was turned around and the puck was not behind him.
Yes.
That scared the hell out of me.
I know, me too. The puck comes out and he's still looking behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that scared the ebba-libbin out of me. But then we get into late into the third and he looked dynamite. And there were some good chances for the Americans late.
That glove save. I know it was just a routine glove save, but in that moment in overtime when he made not just the one huge save, but the second huge save.
Second one off Kachuk.
Yeah, and then the third one that off the draw, that like
Yeah.
rip through traffic.
Yeah.
And he just sees it the whole way, snags it down, and he just had that look. It was
did.
like, I was like, oh,
You could just see it.
he's not losing this.
Yep.
He is so locked in right now that like I haven't seen that look since Carey Price. Think about that. I haven't seen someone that cold and composed in a high pressure situation since Carey Price. That's crazy.
It is. It's insane.
That's a crazy parallel.
And from like we are. This is the Jordan Binnington hater podcast.
It was like our trademark. It was our thing.
We like officially today we have to retire that.
Yeah, we need a new inside joke or something. I'm sorry, guys.
It's over.
Send in the comments or in our DMs. Send us who our new like
whipping boy is.
Yeah, who our new pinata is.
Well, I mean, and it's not just us, right? Like it's interesting because like the narrative around a guy like Connor McDavid maybe changes a little bit because of the Canadian hero thing, right? But I think Jordan Binnington had the reputation of being the rookie that saved the day the first time around.
Yep. And
then it kind of took a turn over the few years following where, some of the public meltdowns and things like that.
And the in-game, punching and attacking of players, the extracurricular, like he looked like a to say the least,
And we've seen with rookie goalies that have big seasons like that, like your Cam Wards and your Matt Murrays and whatnot.
That was your Tristan Jarry's.
Yeah, who can't keep it going.
Yeah.
For Binnington to have that performance, now 6 years after that game 7, like the league wide, the narrative on Jordan Binnington has completely turned around. And is there any question that he's starting in Milan next year?
No, zero. I mean,
zero.
I think it's really interesting because going into this tournament, there was such a debate about who the goalie should be, and does Jordan Binnington have the mentality, the mindset to be able to endure this tournament without being sucked in and entirely devoured by the emotion. And there was times where I was very concerned about his ability to deal with the emotion, especially when he started getting run into in the round robins.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the analysts were saying, it probably should be Binnington because he's got the best track record for high pressure situations.
Because he won that game 7.
But he's not an S tier goalie or an elite goalie. He's just a very good goalie. And that's where the debate starts to come in. And I think he just stamped that out.
Yeah, he did.
Like you can't have that conversation anymore. He may not be an S tier goalie. I'm not gonna hate on Jordan Binnington, but I'm also not gonna jump off a ledge and say he's Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah,
but if he shows up when it matters most, who cares?
Who cares? Exactly.
Like whatever.
I mean, and you know what? It's really interesting to see how these storylines come around for the players, right? Connor Hellebuck's a really interesting one to me because I think that was the highest stakes game of his career. I mean, they've never gotten out of the second round.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, did they have any game 7s in those eliminations? They had one, right?
Probably have had a game 7 somewhere, but I don't think it's the same as what this was.
No, I don't. Especially with, like we said earlier, the climate.
Yeah, exactly.
So
does that bode well for him? That he's now experienced that going into a playoff run where the Jets have probably the best chance they've ever had with him in net.
I don't think so.
No.
And here's my take on that. And it's going to be such a stretch, but I want to make it.
I'll hear it out.
We're celebrating. It's time for some yoga. I have the firmest of beliefs that Ryan Miller's career ended in Vancouver.
I know this.
And I think that might be the case here.
Mm.
A goalie who's always been elite, always been top 5 mentions in the conversation but never got it done
Sure.
and loses in that fashion, it's so hard to bounce back from that. And Miller was never the same after that goal. He had some great seasons, but he never looked like the
I know.
elite stock that he was.
No, I completely agree with that. Ryan Miller also was like never on a team posed to do what Winnipeg could do this year.
It's super valid. And I mean, Winnipeg has like all-star caliber defense themselves. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not concerned about Winnipeg's defense specifically.
the same way, sure.
But I am concerned for how the hangover carries over.
I totally understand that. It depends on the player, right? Like it could be a hard to break back from, and it also could be a I'll never do that again moment. And to be clear, I'm not trying to put the loss on Connor Hellebuck here.
Oh, no,
You leave Connor McDavid alone in the slot. You don't blame the goalie.
it was a perfectly placed shot. Like,
it might not feel like it, but spring's right around the corner. Know how you can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. Get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through the closing round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. If you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick something simple like a golfer to win the tourney and make your pick. It's that easy. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
But, it's that losing thing, and I think the opposite maybe for McDavid. I really think a guy like him, who we just talked about, looked so poor through that game. I really, really thought he was genuinely bad. And then to have this moment, you got to wonder if it was seeing the way Doughty and Crosby and Marchand were handling themselves that helped him compose himself. And then you got to wonder if he can take that into the Oilers run this year. I don't know.
I have a lot higher faith in Connor McDavid being able to carry the momentum forward and build off of that, especially looking at the victory pictures. That dude didn't care. He was not happy.
No, he's locked in on a cup.
Yeah, he did not care. They were all spraying champagne around the room. He cracked a Coors Light.
Yeah.
He was not doing it.
I think he definitely did care.
But not to
But not about the celebration.
No.
It's still it was all business.
Job's not done.
Job's not done.
Job's not done.
Is the job
to
finished?
celebrate. Is the job done?
Job's not done.
R.I.P. Kobe.
Mamba mentality, something like that.
Yep, 100%.
So, we haven't really talked about too many of the Americans yet. I mean, obviously Matthews. You know who might be the best player of this entire tournament? Jacob Slavin. I don't know about you, but that guy infuriated me all night because, literally every single play that Canada tried to make while Jacob Slavin was on the ice was deleted. Control-Alt-Delete, no problem. It's out of their zone.
Yeah, I agree.
He was dominant defensively.
And as much as I want to push Brady into the conversation, he didn't make the same type of game-changing plays in both ends of the zone the way Slavin did. It was impressive no matter where he was, the ability in which he controlled play.
Yeah.
And
yes,
bothers the shit out of me because I've talked about Slavin for years as like a top tier defenseman and been like booed relentlessly for it. And
Sure, you've ridden on that hill pretty hard.
and this is the game you decide to prove it? This one?
Yeah.
I hate you. I hate you.
No,
That'd be like if Jacob Vrana just like showed up on the national team and like potted a hat trick. Like I would like never forgive him.
what's Danton Heinen's nationality? I'm gonna need to know. I'm gonna need to know that for future reference to the same conversation. No, I totally get that, but like, yeah, a wowing performance. I know Jacob Slavin is like known across the league as being one of those really good defensemen, but like to see it in a game like that, because also again, Carolina hasn't played a game as high stakes as that.
No. And I have to say, how special was that block? That block was crazy. Where he like threw his whole lower body out. I've never seen that before. Like I've seen sliding blocks, I've seen the diving blocks, I've seen a mix of the both, but I've never seen a dude contort himself mid-air. That's insane.
It was beautiful. Like,
and it wasn't luck. He was looking right at it the whole time.
Yeah.
If you watch it back in like
fully
slow-mo,
intentional.
yeah, you watch his eyes track it all the way down. It's like
He was unbelievable. He was, I think, for my money, the best defenseman in the entire tournament. And we're talking about changing perceptions. I really think if Jacob Slavin is in that mode, the Carolina Hurricanes are a problem.
yes, 100%.
Quick note back on Binnington, just to wrap that up.
Yes,
Now has played 2 championship games, 2-0 in those championship games. Both of them were at TD Garden in Boston. He has posted between those 2 games a .955 save percentage.
wow.
Yeah, Canadian hero, and like, look, now I have to like, it's not just beating the Americans. He also beat the Bruins. I got to watch Marchand cry because of what Jordan Binnington did. Like,
I was so thankful for that.
I was too, and I even like I like Brad Marchand right now.
I do too.
It's so hard when he's playing for Canada to not be like, yeah, I get it. I like this guy.
I hated Brad Marchand too. I'm not gonna like.
Of course,
Go back to season 1.
of course.
Go back to season 1. I was irate with that flying elbow on Johansson. I was pissed.
Yeah, no, and then it's one of the, we know he's one of those guys you love to hate him, but you love him on your team. But yeah, because previously though, there was nobody I hated more in this league than Brad Marchand, and I was very thankful that the Blues gave me the Marchand crying meme.
Forever cherished. I before today I might have had it framed.
And
Before
now
yesterday.
And now Jordan Binnington has also given me the Brady Tkachuk crying meme.
And isn't that special?
Isn't that special?
And it just made me so happy to see him in the media after all of the glucking and tuaing that he gave Trump. The fact that he stood in front of the media with tear-stained eyes and said, this team just deserved better. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
If you deserve better, you would have better.
That's right. If you deserve better, you would have better. Sidney Crosby owns your country. I'm very sorry to tell you this. Sidney Crosby now has more men's championships than the United States as a whole. Sidney has 5. The United States have 4.
And they haven't had one since
You listen to me.
96.
This is our goddamn game. So I actually, one thing I want to talk to you about this because I kind of have something that's been weighing on my mind about it.
Shoot.
We have talked ad nauseum over the last, really, probably since this show started, about the fear of Canada's future, both Hockey Canada and Hockey in Canada.
Yes.
Does anything from this tournament change that for you or no?
It does. It does a lot because it started the conversation that's been so desperately needed, but
Sure.
so avidly avoided. And it started coming from people that are still inside of hockey that
Right.
can make change.
Sure.
Like Eric Comrie coming out and saying it makes
It's
him
too expensive.
It makes him sick.
Yeah.
That's a strong way to put it.
Yeah.
He's disgusted with the cost of hockey
Yeah.
and is not shocked at our failures.
Yeah.
Like, those are strong words, and they're strongly needed.
From someone who has weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's becoming a public conversation to the
Yeah.
point that it has to be addressed because sport is too expensive, and sport shouldn't be a luxury that you get to have if you're in the upper middle class to high class.
Totally.
Like, sport is for everyone. Hockey is for everyone.
Yeah.
That's something we preach on this show ad nauseum as well.
Yeah.
And breaking down those barriers is so essential, especially when you look at like other nations that have been moving forward so rapidly, and other nations that cover their goalies' equipment or cover their registration, cover their travel
costs. Yes.
Like, that's so huge.
So huge. Yeah.
And we've been saying it for at least a year now. We need a national development program that meets regularly and has practices in the summer. Like,
Sure.
it's just something that is so desperately needed, and the culture so desperately needs to change. And while I feel like this isn't going to be like the way that the golden goal was, where it sparked all those kids to be like, I want to be like Sidney Crosby, I want to play hockey. That's the thing.
Sure.
I think it's going to make it easier for the kids that are already interested and involved
To be more involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it will spark some more interest, but
absolutely it will.
but I'm just not sure that, like, again, with the barriers, that's really going to be tangible
Enough.
until it really starts to move forward
Sure.
in other ways.
I love that take. My take on it is on a completely different point to that,
Okay.
but with no opposition to your take, because I completely agree with all of that.
Right on. What do you have?
My thoughts on it this week were, remember we were talking about elite contributions driving the league just a couple weeks ago, like the Dallas series proving a little bit that it's not a depth league anymore. Right? Dallas lost to the Edmonton Oilers. Dallas was the deepest forward group in the league. They get walked by the deeply flawed Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
To me, that was a bit of a sign that, okay, this is a league where the superstars can win anything. And so going into this, coming out of last night, that was, again, a little bit what I found myself thinking was, at the end of the day, it's the same as it was in 2010 and 2014, in 2010 specifically, where the American team was sick. That
Very
American
sick.
team was sick.
Very.
This year, that American team was sick.
Some of my favorite players when they're not in a blue jersey. Like,
And guess what? In 2010, they simply didn't have a Sidney Crosby. And in 2025, they simply do not have a Connor McDavid. Nor Nathan McKinnon, who got the opening goal for them. And so that actually eased my thoughts on Canada's, at least immediate, like over the next 10, 15 years future. Because even as, Crosby comes into his twilight years here, and Marchand as well, the kind of immediate past and future, if what matters is the really, like, elite, it's not about how many first rounders you have, it's about how many first overalls you have. That's still Canada all day, right? I mean, 2 years ago, Connor Bedard. Last year, Macklin Celebrini. Next year, Gavin McKenna. Landon DuPont after that.
that's like your starting five right there.
If that's what it is, like if it really is still over these 15 years, the fact that the U.S. doesn't have that guy, Canada just keeps making them.
Yeah, I'm not desperately concerned about our top end talent.
Yeah.
It's really the goaltending that has me pretty worried. But
Same, of course.
But I entirely agree with you. Like the next 10 to 15 years, I feel very secure. And I feel like the trade-off, while it's not quite there, will be nearly seamless once it happens post Milan.
Yeah, I agree.
And how do I put this? Like, even beyond that, I still feel that the culture is strong enough with what's been like imposed already in the locker room with the Marchand and the Crosby and the Doughty connection.
And the Doughty. I got to give a little bit of an apology to Drew Doughty, I think.
Yeah, I walked back my take earlier, and I was wrong. He definitely contributed, and if the last thing he does for Team Canada is positively impact Thomas Harley to be the next Drew Doughty, I take it all back, dude. You know what?
For real. I genuinely owe Drew Doughty an apology. We all do. Jackson included, who actually wrote into the show to make sure to tell all of the listeners that he also apologizes for his takes about this not mattering last week.
Yeah. I mean, but, it did matter all of a sudden, though. And I didn't buy into it mattering. I didn't care when this tournament started. But then
I know.
Everything piled in, and it just kept snowballing. And it, like, the pokes turned to jabs, turned to punches. And it was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I've had enough of this.
Well, and like, of course, I've been on my high horse the last week, right? Because I was excited for it. But I was genuinely, I was really excited for this, and I still didn't think it would be anywhere near that. And you know what I mean? And the league didn't either.
No, and I mean, it's very ironic that the league that tries to stay so far out of politics just hosted the most politically charged event in 10 years. More, definitely.
40 years.
I was going to say, like, because I want to bring this back around to the beginning of the show, the very beginning, and agree that it won't be the same in Milan because, again, the demographic is totally different.
Yeah.
And the parallels that we keep harking back to, it's so similar to the Summit series.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
we've gone back to that a lot.
Yeah, and, you know, you have the 2 games in Canada, you have the 2 games in the States, like, the equal representation, the even number of games across the board, like, and just how much national and a global stage it was put on. Yeah. Because this made hockey a household conversation for Americans that have never even looked twice at it.
Fox News was posting about Paul Biznasty. Did you see that?
I didn't. That's our icon.
They said that, so they tweeted yesterday before the game about something Biz had said. They tweeted, ex Team Canada All-Star.
Wow, they're really basting it on.
Says Canada will have a national meltdown if they lose this game.
Not wrong.
Not wrong, but of course they're trying to dig, right? They're trying to be like, look, this is all they got.
Yeah.
They want to kill us. They hate us.
Yeah.
And then the community notes hitting that tweet with Paul Bissonnette was absolutely not a Canadian all-star. He played 1 World Juniors with them, and it was the peak of his career. It was unbelievable.
I think it's so funny that, like, I almost hold Biz in the same, like, esteem that we held Drake in, like, early 2000s when he was the Raptors ambassador. You remember when Drake was the Raptors ambassador?
Oh, yeah.
He was at every home game, on every Sportsnet show, on every newscast. Yeah. That's kind of what Biz is now, but it's hilarious because of that. Like, just like the dude that, like, NHL guys begged the GM not to send down because they needed someone to make fun of and play music in the locker room.
Yeah, they're both a couple of Toronto boys.
Beautiful. Incredible.
Yeah.
That's my ambassador. That's my global ambassador for Canada right there.
Absolutely. And you know what? You weren't wrong. It really was. It was so charged by being in those 2 cities. And it's crazy because you would think that it was intentional with how perfectly it worked out. Like, if you were picking that right now, like, you couldn't have picked two more heated cities than Montreal and Boston.
No. And I mean, you also have that like beef of just those two cities want to outdo each other.
Exactly.
Like, there's no way Boston wasn't showing out.
No.
I mean, it was not just Boston. Like, let's be
Of
real.
course not. No.
Seth Jarvis's friends drove 30 hours to watch him play.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Bro, you got some good ass friends.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So, viewership.
Speaking of a national and global stage,
ESPN draws 9.3 million viewers in the U.S.,
can I get a wowza babowza in the chat?
topping St. Louis versus Boston 2019, another Jordan Binnington game, which had 8.9 million viewers. It makes it the most viewed of NHL event.
What was it that maybe my memory's failing me? Sorry to interrupt, but what was it that made that Boston St. Louis series so like
Huge.
like special?
I really don't know. It was a huge one over there. I mean, it's just two big American markets. Like, St. Louis is a big market and Boston's an 06 market.
I guess so. It just like that's just such a weird like.
Because, I mean, before that, it was Boston, Vancouver.
See, and that makes sense to me.
There's the
National
Canada,
stage,
USA
you know,
thing.
Canada, USA, Boston Pizza, Vancouver. Like, it was a whole thing.
But,
That
like, when
makes
was the
sense.
last, like, who's the last 06 American team in the final before that? Was it, I guess,
I was
Chicago's?
going to say Chicago, and then before that, probably Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh, Montreal, too. No, we're
I know, but
forgetting
that was a bubble, and it's a Canadian team. Like, I'm not counting
No,
that.
but we're pro-Canada today, and I don't want to get chewed out by the Habs fans.
No, but, like we're talking about viewership in the U.S., right?
Yes, I guess so. We
Yeah.
respect your bubble. We respect your bubble kind of victory.
I don't.
Okay.
I absolutely like. I mean, yeah, you went to the finals. Cool. Okay. I don't know. Like, what's cool about going to the finals? Teams go to the finals and lose. Anything can happen means any team can make it to the finals.
Wasn't that Carey
They just
Price's
can't
like
win.
last season?
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow. The Habs broke Carey Price the same way the Devils broke Martin Brodeur.
Yeah, except you got a lot more cups out of it
Yes.
than they did. Poor Carey.
I didn't even realize the parallels, though. Both
Yeah.
trips to the finals, both absolutely get swamped on their way out.
End of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, though, I don't actually know really what that Boston St. Louis thing is. Although, actually, yeah. I mean, Boston, Vancouver, and then St. Louis, Boston. Also, both the last two Game 7s.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, the Game 7 aspect gives it a huge bump.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not Americans, so there could be a geographical thing that we're not
Yeah.
privy to, like baseballers. I don't know.
So, going back to it, 9.3 million viewers on ESPN. Top St. Louis versus Boston for the most watched NHL game in the U.S. in history.
Wow.
Puck Empire reporting 10 million viewers in Canada, 26% of the entire population, and that's not even including like places like my workplace where it's one TV that has 30 people there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. Like those numbers are skewed too because you also aren't accounting for the illegal streams.
Of course, that brings viewership to just shy of 20 million people, legally. Comparing that to the 2024 All-Star Game, which drew in just under 1.5 million, I mean, is it legitimately, is it the best thing the NHL's ever done?
Yes. Completely by accident too. And I hate that Bettman gets to just like rake in all of the praise for it because like you did what you were asked to do years ago.
No. I actually won't have that.
Why?
He deserves credit for it because you know what? Every other team is still doing terrible, or every other league is still doing terrible All-Star games.
Ugh, that's so
the NFL
valid.
is still doing it. The NBA is still doing it. The MLB is still going to do it this year. They all still do it. They all still suck. I got to give him the credit. He was the first one to have the balls to do it.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Sure.
The NBA All-Star Game was on this week.
It was terrible.
It sucked.
Awful.
I tuned in for about 4 minutes. 4 minutes. I saw Drewski throw for like 4 air balls, and I was like, what am I even watching? And I turned it off. For real, that was all I saw was Drewski for some reason on the court airballing in an actual celebrity game.
That's sick.
Sick.
I love Drewski.
Yeah, definitely better than a Four Nations tournament.
I'm glad that I wasn't watching Coach Chippy, missing the net.
Yeah, exactly, right? What did they have them doing last year? Do you remember some of those drills?
No, I repressed them all. There was a dunk tank.
Yeah, there was a dunk tank.
And Frege was in it.
His nipples were erect last night. He was talking about it.
And you know what? If there was ever a time or a place to be standing tall and proud,
it was there.
It was there.
Yeah. No, yeah, as much as it was very lucky for the NHL that it turned into this. I do still think they deserve credit for doing it.
Especially in a culture that's so stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
You know, we constantly criticize the NHL for being an old boys club.
Yep.
You know, new innovative ideas don't get to thrive because no one gives them a chance to actually kick in.
Yeah.
I'm very thrilled. And to reiterate my point last week, I'm very thrilled with what it gave us and what it will give us moving forward. It's more than I could have ever asked for.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about it is that it immediately gives this tournament meaning. Like now in 2028, when we do another one, that tournament has meaning now because of how much this one meant.
And I think it might even be looked forward to a little bit more by players because they're allowed to play that more physical game.
They're allowed to play the game that they play all their life.
Yeah, but with their
least.
fellow countrymen.
Yes.
But
I'd like... It'll be so interesting to watch Milan next year because I think we might exit Milan going, the NHL might do a better job than the Olympics.
That doesn't shock me. I have very little faith and love for the Olympics in general.
Yeah.
Just on a moral standpoint.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love the Winter Olympics, but objectively too many things.
I would love if we could move away from them entirely.
It'd be great. But until then, it still means something. It's still a global stage.
Yes, yeah. And it's the biggest global stage, right? Worldwide, it gets televised and all of that.
But I don't, and I actually really, really liked a pitch I heard. I think it was Merrick that also pitched it. I listened to a lot of Merrick. Shocker.
Yeah.
Instead of doing a 4-team tournament,
mm-hmm.
doing a series for Europe and a series for North America.
Sure.
And being able to grow the game that way because they do global games and they fly players out there already.
Yeah.
Mid-season now.
Yeah.
And it goes great.
It does.
It sells out. If you had those nationalities playing in their country.
Oh, that would be pretty sick.
And especially
I could get down with that.
Right? And
oh, yeah.
And he made a point about certain cultures just celebrate and present the game differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give them the keys.
I quite like that. Yep.
Show us what a Finnish Rager is. Right. Show us how you guys do hockey. You know? It's what was it? Is it Jokic that made the quote? You've never, you think this is nerve-wracking? You've never seen basketball in Serbia?
Oh, yeah.
It's a madhouse.
Let's see it.
Yeah. I'd love to.
Someone, after that, people were posting some clips of basketball games out there, and it does look bonkers.
It's a madhouse.
Yeah, it looks bonkers.
It's crazier than soccer in Europe.
It's tight. One thing I really do want to shit on the NHL for, though.
Yes.
After I just said I really want to defend them, there's one thing that's genuinely driven me nuts. So I used to be a pretty big jersey collector.
Yes.
I'm not so much anymore. I've cleared some out. I try to only have the ones that I find important to me.
Yeah, your grails, your...
Yeah, exactly. So the other night I'm getting all hyped for this game, and I go, you know what? If Canada wins, I think I got to get one of these jerseys. It's grown on me a ton.
Same.
I really need a Crosby jersey.
Same.
And then they win. And I go to all of my old connects for jerseys, right? And it's sold out everywhere. And worse than that, not only is it sold out, they don't even have like a pre-order available. Like they don't have anything on the website where like buy it and it'll ship in a month when they're made. And like, what are we doing? You would have sold a bazillion Connor McDavid jerseys last night.
That is the dumbest I've ever heard, especially when Fanatics is a borderline print-to-order business already.
And the NHL, they're talking about the money being made, and it's like, I am begging you to let me give you my money. And just, no, we don't have any right now. Okay?
Let me buy one still.
And then I start poking around, right, on some of the jersey forums and stuff like that, and it looks like they're not planning on restocking them. What?
Okay, like, you guys do know that, like, scarcity demand only works if you intend to sell the product again.
Exactly.
Like supply and demand is a great concept to drive profits, but you need to keep supplying at some rate.
Exactly. So that you can make more profits.
Yeah, but if the demand's there, great. You just succeeded in the hardest part of selling a product.
Correct.
You just had to sell it now. It's there. And
especially once they realize, like, I get it. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand. They didn't think this was going to be as big as it was. I totally get that. But like once you see what's happening and the Canadian pride that's going around this country right now, like, why are you not making money on that?
Yeah.
Aren't you a business?
I would have been calling Fanatics during the game and being like, hey, fire up the presses.
Yes. Put it on the website. I don't even care if the jerseys aren't done for 2 months. Get the pre-orders.
Yeah.
Take people's money. What are you talking about?
It took me 2 months to get my Raptors championship hat anyways, so like who cares? Like
that's what I mean. Like other stuff is on their website exactly that way. Order it now. It ships on this date whenever we freaking make them because we're not making them right now. Like,
do it.
Just do it. Just what the hell is going on here? Why did Connor McDavid just score a gold-winning goal? The golden goal for Team Canada on the biggest stage against the Americans, and no one can order a Connor McDavid jersey. What are we doing? It's been firing me up all day.
That's unbelievably frustrating.
It's the only thing. It's the only like a bit of damper I've had on this beautiful, beautiful day.
It's just like merchandising 101.
Right? Is it not?
Put the product in a bright, attractive space to sell it, and then sell the frickin' product. What? No, we don't have any. Okay, when can I get one? Oh, never.
You can't.
Okay.
It makes them more valuable. Except the only people who can make money on it now is people who already own them. Yeah, good work, NHL.
Yeah, awesome. I'm stoked for the resellers. That's so dope.
So stupid. No, yeah. What a beautiful time. What a beautiful day.
I'm so thrilled. I'm still like I was texting Paul, my old mentor from the Royals, and we were both just like basking in the afterglow all day. Even in through the night, I was like, you know what? I'm still just feeling that win, man. I'm walking on rainbows right now.
I'll remember last night for a very long time.
It's probably the first hockey game that my partner's been invested in. She's
really?
Not.
No, she's not
a hockey girly.
Yeah.
So,
that
was a moment.
It was spectacular. No, it was beautiful. Oh, Canada. Go Canada. First time I've been proud, like really, really proud of this nation in a while.
And I mean, it's just hockey, but still.
It is just hockey, of course.
We needed a dub, and we needed something to also bring us together. God
Yeah.
damn it.
We did, and we needed a dub against the Americans. We will never be your 51st state. You are hockey's 11th province.
Facts. We are not your hat. You're our shoe. Promise.
Yeah.
So get to stepping.
So, at least for the next year, I don't want to hear any chirping.
And I actually have to. I have to.
Hit me with it.
Calling someone out.
Okay.
Trav for Oilers on the Slang and the Bizget podcast. Proud old Canadian boy.
Okay.
Allegedly. Praising Trump on his podcast and saying, oh, we could really use some of that over here.
Yeah.
In the same week that all of the... dog, what?
Yeah, it's so
Calling
bizarre.
it the scamdemic. Like, when did we get, like, hockey Joe Rogan?
Yeah. I mean, it's the pandemic stuff. I don't care about. I hear a lot of that. I hear a ton of that.
It's just such a stupid and reckless take to have, like, right now, especially.
That's the thing, is that takes never really bothered me until it was like what we talked about at the top of the show with the like actual like threatening of our nation. It's like if you're still riding with the guy that's legitimately threatening your nation, you are a traitor to your country.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's actually it though. Like, I never buy into the whole like, oh, you don't like it here? Move, because like you are
Sure.
allowed to criticize your country.
Of course you are. Yes,
Like that is your right as a tax-paying citizen.
I love
to-
criticizing my country.
Yeah, absolutely, me too. But only because I want to see it do better.
Yeah, not because I wanted to see it be another one.
Yeah, if you are so steadfast in your belief that Canada needs Donald Trump and needs to be the 51st state for you to succeed, move. Go and be with your friends in the South.
Yes, because you're not criticizing your country. You're saying that you'd rather be in another one, in which case you can actually just go be in another one.
Yeah, just go do that. And
For
leave
the record,
us,
you can do that.
leave us the alone then,
Yeah.
because like
Factual.
what are you doing? You're basically just cheering for your own country to be annexed.
Cool. That's usually a good stance to take, historically speaking.
That's wild.
No, yeah. You know what? I'm just happy Canada got a W.
Yeah, me too. It just pisses me off to see such an anti-Canadian take, like such a boldly anti-Canadian take in the moment. It's like, that's crazy. That is actually like the most brain dead, like garbage filled rhetoric I've ever heard.
I genuinely don't even know who those people are. They can fuck off.
Yeah, internet creators. So I'll send you a link later. We followed them on our Instagram until today, and I was like, yeah.
As always, though, it's Canada's game.
It's Canada's game.
I'm trying to end on a nice note here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, let's wind it back up.
Yeah.
It's Canada's game. God damn it,
It
JT Miller, pack your bags. I'm so glad that those 8 teams are on your no trade list because we never want you back.
Amen. Look, at the end of the day, this is our game. Shout out to Paul Biznassi. Shout out to the Canadian roster. Shout out to their management who put the team together for once in their life. Shout out to them. Shout out to
Jordan Binnington.
Shout out to Jordan Binnington. Wayne Gretzky.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. How goddamn dare you show up to read the lines before the game,
Yeah.
you Trump jerking, pussy ass, one ply, bitch made failure of an entrepreneur. F you.
Keep your head up.
Boom!
Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick talk.